Hello and a warm welcome to this quarterly update with SKAGEN Global. Portfolio manager Thomas Johansson has joined me in the studio to guide us through what happened in the first quarter and what possibly lies ahead. First, Thomas, as we can see, SKAGEN Global is slightly behind its reference index. What happened?
It has been a turbulent start to 2016. Global equity markets declined by more than 10% during the first 6 weeks and actually entered bear market territory for the first time in 5 years. Many investors thought they saw the end of the world coming and indiscriminately sold off stocks. Financials was particularly hammered during this process, as you had the somewhat toxic cocktail of recessional fears and potential credit issues in the energy sector in wake of the lower oil price, as well as negative interest rates becoming the consensus view in the market. We believe that these concerns are largely overdone, as is often the case when fear takes the upper hand on fundamentals. And during the second half of the quarter, we saw central banks across the world in a very forceful response alleviating some of these fears. We then also saw much of the equity markets recovering their lost ground.
Okay, so if you have a look at the contributors in the first quarter this year, what company would you like to highlight on the positive side?
One of the biggest positive contributors to the performance was our investment in Dollar General, the US-based retail company that reported on yet another quarter of solid operational performance. We see this as an undervalued structural growth story that will continue to surprise people on the upside. And our investment thesis was also reaffirmed in connection with the company's Capital Markets Day during March, where we attended to meet with the management team and other investors.
Okay, and on the negative side, you find financials.
Yes, it is correct that our exposure to American financials weighed on the performance in the quarter, and then mainly our investments in AIG and Citigroup. And these financial stocks have not yet come back from the sell-off that I mentioned before. But we remain optimistic that as investors' concerns around current market conditions ease, they will bounce back as well.
Now, let's take a look at the new positions. You've added 3 new positions during the quarter, amongst them the old tech giant Sony. Why?
Our investment case in Sony is centered on the transformation of the Sony Group, from traditionally being very hardware-centric to becoming an entertainment-centric group. And as most investors are concerned and actually mostly focused on things that are less attractive of the Sony Group, we believe that the company will be a key beneficiary of the ongoing structural trend towards digitalization of media and entertainment. And importantly, these evolving revenue streams are more recurring in nature and thus warrants a higher valuation. One good example of this is Sony's PlayStation ecosystem that increasingly looks like the Netflix for gaming, and is actually also set for another step change under the new paradigm of virtual reality.
Great. All right, so let's look a bit ahead. In your view, are the corrections we saw in the first quarter now a thing of the past?
We see the market movements during Q1 mostly as a cyclical pullback rather than the beginning of the end for good shareholder returns. But in an environment of market uncertainty, it is more important than ever to invest into companies that are in control of their own destiny. And that is why we like financially sound companies that are strategically well positioned and on a trajectory of credible and clearly defined operational improvements. Having said that, we remain optimistic that the stock market continues to be an attractive place for long-term investors, and that our portfolio of carefully selected companies is well positioned to deliver attractive returns.
Thank you very much, Thomas Johansson, for joining me in the studio today. Now, should you have any questions regarding SKAGEN Global or any of our other funds, do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you very much for watching.